everyone, it's Courtney back for my weekly reading update. So today's reading update is going to be a bit shorter than usual because it is Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, holiday season, and I own a retail shop and I'm exhausted. And that's also been consuming most of my brain for the last week. So I'm going to dive right in and start with what I just finished, and then, yeah, we'll go from there. So this week I read 2 books. The first was a comic called Ask for Mercy. It's by Richard Starkling and illustrated by Abigail Harding. So I picked this up because I follow Abigail Harding on Instagram and I absolutely adore her artwork. She does these really dark and creepy monsters. She also has this character that she's developing, which is this sort of corvid lord. So he is surrounded all the time by crows and ravens, and if you all don't know this about me, I am obsessed with crows and ravens. So I've been super interested in following her and hoping that one day maybe this character will come out in some sort of book or comic or something. So when looking through her Instagram, I discovered that she had actually worked on a comic for Richard Starkling called Ask for Mercy. Richard Starkling has worked on a ton of major comics and major superhero comics like Wonder Woman, Batman, like pretty much any superhero you can think of, he's worked on in some way. So I was really excited to see her artwork paired with this really experienced comic writer. And so I read the first season, which is like, I think 4 to 5 editions. I don't remember off the top of my head. And I was really disappointed. The artwork was amazing and everything that I wanted from her, but the story was a little lackluster to me. I didn't love the dialogue style and the storyline, and also it had some very stereotypical depictions of Indigenous Americans that I really didn't appreciate. So all in all, it was only like a 2-star read for me. I will not be reading the rest of this comic series. I will still be following Abigail on Instagram and hoping that in the future she does release something that's a little more up my alley. But yeah, not gonna be doing a review on that one, not gonna be continuing on. But I did finish the first season. So that is Ask for Mercy by Richard Starkling with Abigail Harding. So the next thing I finished is Crossings by Landragin. I started Crossings a couple weeks, maybe a month or so ago, and immediately was like, this is way too challenging for my brain right now. I'm going to put this down and come back to it. So I picked it back up this week, and I did finish it. It was not as challenging as I expected it to be, or as I thought it would be when I read the preface the first time and decided to put it down. It was very dense though, but it was good. It was a very interesting storyline. It is an experimental in format. So Crossings is about a manuscript. So it's a book about a book, which I love. It's about a manuscript that anytime somebody owns it or comes in contact with it, they die in these really violent deaths. So the idea behind the story is that this bookbinder has received this manuscript from a really wealthy customer of his, and she asked him to rebind it. In the process, after it's passed his hands, she dies, surprise, in a pretty violent way. And so he doesn't know what to do with this manuscript, because when she delivered it to him, she said, under no circumstances should you read what's inside. Well, of course, he decides to, and you learn all of this in the preface, so I'm not spoiling anything. He decides to read it, and then when he gives it to his wife to read, he's like, oh, it was interesting, but whatever. It's like a collection of 3 different stories. But then when he gives it to his wife, she reads it based on these annotations, which line up with chapter marks. And so it's dubbed the Baroness sequence. And she comes back to her husband and is like, this is a completely different story. You should go back and reread it in the Baroness sequence. So as a reader of this book, you get to choose whether you want to read it cover to cover like you would just a normal book, or if you want to try and read it in the Baroness sequence, which is kind of like where you choose your own adventure and you get to the end of a chapter and it's like, now go here. So you jump in and out between the 3 different stories. I chose to read it in the Baroness sequence. I really am glad about that decision because, like I said, this book is very dense, specifically the last story in the book. All of the chapters in the last story of the book are like 40 to 60 pages long, and I'm someone who cannot stop reading mid-chapter. So I think if I would have had to read all of those chapters sequentially, I probably would have put this one down and not finished it. But because I read it in the Baroness sequence, I had the ability to like read a dense chapter, then read something a bit lighter and easier, then read another dense chapter, and then read something a bit lighter and easier again. So it made it a lot easier to wade through, which I appreciated. I'll be doing a full review, but so far I'm giving this one, right now, I might change my mind. Right now I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars because while the story was interesting, it just lacked that something that made it stick with me. If I look back at it a year down the road, I'm not sure that I'm really gonna like remember it. It's kind of like, okay, cool, I read that one time, but whatever. So like I said, I'll be doing a full review of this, but right now I've got it at 4 out of 5 stars. So what I'm reading, nothing, because I finished this at midnight last night, but I have decided, and I might change my mind because I decided this maybe 3 minutes before filming this video. I think I'm going to start These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, which I talked about, I think, last week. But it is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in 1920s Shanghai. I have heard really, really good things. I'm very excited. And I think this will be a bit of a more high-paced adventure and a good contrast to Crossings, which was, like I said, a little slower. So I'm excited about this, and I will check back in with you guys and let you know if I actually decide to read this or if I change my mind between starting this and filming my next video. So yes, These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong is what I'm planning on reading next. I did order our book club pick for our friend book club. We have a book club with some of our college friends where it's just a way for us to stay connected, and also all of us had reading goals, and so this helps us keep each other accountable. We each month, a different person picks, and you give 3 choices, and then we all vote on the one that we want to read. So this month were my recommendations, and we decided to read The House in the Dark in the Woods by Laird, which is a horror story set in Puritan New England. This is the first time that we've read horror as a book club. We've read a bunch of different genres. We've read science fiction, we've read fantasy, we've read memoir, contemporary fiction. I mean, we've kind of bounced all over the place, but this is the first time that we've read something that is specifically marketed as horror. And I'm really excited to introduce that to our group. I was actually very surprised when the majority of people voted for that because I did not think it was going to be a popular pick, but it was one that I really wanted to read. So I ordered that from my local bookstore. It has not come in the mail yet, so I don't have it, but I am really excited. That's In the House in the Dark in the Woods by Laird. And that's all I have this week. There will not be a second video this week, like I said, because it is holiday season and I own a retail shop. That's all my brain can handle this week. So instead, I will see you guys back here on Monday for next week's reading update. In the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll still be posting daily. I've already got all my content created because I planned ahead and I'm super proud of myself because I usually don't do that. But I'll still be posting daily on Instagram, so you can follow me at Not So Well Read. And then in the meantime, like, comment, let me know what you're reading, what you plan on reading, what you just bought. I don't know, whatever you want. And like and subscribe. Bye, everyone.